everybody, welcome to this another random video. I'm Denise. Today I'm going to talk about books, obviously. So this is going to be in Tagalog because I just really want to make a Tagalog random video about books na pinasa ko, inumpisahan kong basahin, hindi ko natapos, and currently tinatapos ko, and yung mga books na binili ko. So, umpisahan ko siguro dun sa libro na binabasa ko currently. So, currently, yung binabasa ko is yung librong Down and Out in Paris and London ni George Orwell. So, ito ay nabili ko sa National Bookstore last year. And I mentioned, I think, tama pa, parang mention ko na ata in my previous video that I'm really happy that finally, National Bookstore is selling mga Collins Classics editions of classic books. Kasi even though Collins Classics editions, hindi ito yung pinakamaganda yung quality ng classic books. What I like about this edition ay mura siya, and dahil mura siya, mas naging accessible sa mas maraming tao yung mga classic books. And in particular, dito ako pinaka natutuwa kasi sa Collins Classics edition, binibenta nila yung 6 na books ni George Orwell, including yung mga non-fiction works niya. And sa totoo lang, medyo mahirap hanapin yung mga ibang works ni George Orwell dito sa Pilipinas. When you hear the name George Orwell, it's always 1984 and Animal Farm. But there are other George Orwell works that are as interesting and parang worth din naman nabasahin. Tulad ng mga non-fiction works niya and yung mga other novels na sinulat niya. So, yung Down and Out in Paris and London, ito yung first published work ni George Orwell. It was published a decade or more before 1984 and Animal Farm. And I haven't read 1984, but I've read Animal Farm and Keep the Aspidistra Flying. And nakita ko yung elements ng dalawang novel na yun, ng dalawang books na yun, dito sa Down and Out in Paris and London. So, yung Down and Out in Paris and London kasi, just to give you an idea, it's about the experiences of George Orwell in Paris and in London. And ando pala ako sa Paris na part, and then kinukwento niya yung experience niya working sa hotel, and ano yung pakiramdam ng walang pera sa Paris. So, nung kinukwento niya yun, yung experiences niya, I saw some elements similar dun sa character ni Gordon Comstock sa novel niyang Keep the Aspidistra Flying. And then, makikita mo din dun sa Animal Farm yung hierarchy na minention niya dito sa Down and Out in Paris and London. Because dito, he mentioned na when you're working in the hotel, may iba-ibang functions yung iba't ibang grupo ng mga tao. So, mayroong may pinakamataas, and then mayroong may pinakamababa, and then iba-iba yung treatment sa kanila, and iba-iba yung mga privileges and perks na nakuha nila. So, makikita mo doon sa part na yun, yung elements dun sa Animal Farm. Kasi diba dun sa Animal Farm, may hierarchy din yung mga animals, and bawat animals, meron silang iba't ibang mga ginagawa. So, well, it's just interesting to look at how George Orwell's writing and yung characters niya and yung mga descriptions sa mga previous books niya or sa earlier works niya ay nagre-reflect dun sa mga later works niya. So, hindi pa ako nakakaabot dun sa London na part, but I'm also interested to reach the London part because I also noticed, aside from the one I already mentioned, yung difference ng idea ng Paris and London ngayon sa descriptions ni George Orwell ng Paris and for sure ng London. When I was reading George Orwell's book, I was surprised kasi the idea of Paris that I have ay sobrang iba sa Paris na dinidescribe niya doon sa book. It's as if Paris in the 1930s ay hindi totoo. It's like that. Kasi when you open the TV and you search for videos or TV shows set in Paris, it's always glamorous. Like in Emily in Paris, it's always beautiful. Or everyone, or rich, or if not sila rich, well off sila. But here, in dahil natin Paris and London, people are poor, and yung living conditions ng mga tao ay sobrang hirap. So you really see the difference how in the span of 90 years, yung city ay nagbago. And it's a nice way to reflect on how cities evolve and how the composition of people living in a specific city ay nagbabago din together with the changes in the architecture as well as dun siguro sa economic changes din dun sa city. So that's done out in Paris and London. The second book that I'll gonna talk about is yung book na inumpisahan ko pero hindi ko tinapos, and that is Jane Austen's Emma. So Jane Austen's Emma is the fourth Jane Austen novel na binasa ko. And my thoughts about this book, I don't know why, but medyo naboboringan ako dito, which is parang hindi ko ina-expect from a Jane Austen novel. Kasi the first 3 novels ni Jane Austen na nabasa ko is okay naman. Medyo struggle yung pagkakasulat niya, yung writing style niya, pero hindi naman boring like Emma. And meron 3 volumes itong Emma, and natapos ko na yung first volume, pero I'm not really motivated to continue the second and the third volume kasi nga parang ang boring niya and wala masyadong nangyayari dun sa story. Unlike sa Pride and Prejudice, sa Persuasion, sa Sense and Sensibility, na kahit na medyo mahirap intindihin, at least nakikita mong may progress. Dito kasi parang wala. So I'm not really sure kung kailan ko itutuloy na basahin, or if I'll watch the movie adaptation of Emma, just so by the time na babasahin ko to ulit, may idea na ako sa mga nangyayari. Pero parang counterproductive yun. So I'm not really sure kung ano yung plano ko for this book. But the goal is not to pressure myself with finishing this. If hindi ko talaga siya matripan na basahin, okay lang yan. Read other books until dumating yung time na gusto ko na talaga siyang basahin and gusto ko na siyang balikan. Then, the third book that I'm going to talk about is Middlemarch by George Eliot. So this one is pinabasa ko because I joined this Instagram group wherein gusto nilang mabasa yung George Eliot's Middlemarch from February to April. So yun yung target. Sorry for the noise. Yun yung target na date. Pero ako, hindi ko siya matatapos by April. Pero naumpisa naman na ako dito. I'm actually on book 2. Parang may book 8 siya or book 9 or 9 books. Book 8 hanggang book 9. I'm not really sure. Pero nandun ako sa second book, and initial thoughts about this book, hindi ko na-expect na yung writing style niya is mas mahirap sa writing style ni Jane Austen. Like, whenever I read English novels, mga classic novels, ang basis ko ng difficulty or yung pinakamahirap na para sa akin is yung novel ni Jane Austen. But I was surprised because this one, the writing style is a struggle. To think na mas nauna na na-publish yung Jane Austen works dito sa George Eliot Middlemarch. Ang hirap pa din niya. And I'm not really pressuring myself naman to read at least 1 chapter a day. Kasi initially, that's what I wanted. But when I discovered the writing style, I realized I can't do 1 chapter a day. So, I just read this when I have time. And I'm also doing annotation para rin in case na gusto kong balikan yung isang part and hindi ako naintindihan, I can easily go and check everything. So that's the third book, Middlemarch by George Eliot. Now let's talk about the books I bought, because I remember nung nag-umpisa yung taon, I told myself I won't buy any books. But guess what? Guess what? I bought books. Oh my gosh. But these are books naman na hindi ko laging nahahanap sa book sale or sa second-hand bookstore. So, I think justified naman yun doon, ewan ko. Pero this books, gusto ko silang basahin for very different or for very many reasons. And I will start with the smallest of the three. This is Steinbeck's Travels with Charley in Search of America. I like books about traveling. I like to see how different people see different places. Or okay din naman yun how different people see a specific place or yung kanilang hometown or something. But this one kasi is parang a book about John Steinbeck going to different places in America with Charley, his dog. I haven't read any John Steinbeck book, and I want to start with something non-fiction. I don't know if this is non-fiction or fiction, but I think this is non-fiction. I'll search pa, but oh my gosh, this is crazy. Pero this is about his travel to America, different places in America. And wala lang, I just wanna see how John Steinbeck saw America. This was written in the 1960s. So that's an interesting time, diba? So yeah, that's the first book I bought. The second and the third book I bought are science fiction books. I rarely read science fiction books. I actually, parang wala pang ako nababasang science fiction books. But I like to read these books because these books were written by Russian authors, and these were written during the Soviet time, so during the Cold War era. And I like I like Cold War. I like learning more about the Soviet Union. I have this weird interest with Soviet architecture and urban planning, and I also want to parang go out of that and diverge to other topics about Soviet Union, like Soviet society and stuff. So I bought two books written during the Soviet period. So this is Arkady and Boris Strugatsky's Monday Starts on Saturday, and this is Arkady and Boris Strugatsky's The Doomed City. So have no idea about these books nung nakita ko sila. I just like the title. This one's Doomed City. Ang cool lang niya. It reminds me of this movie called Dark City. May movie na Dark City, and the title just reminded me of that. And I also like the title of this one. I think this one's catchy. Monday Starts on Saturday. And I was reading the parang comments of people, and then they said this is like Harry Potter. I'm not really sure why they think this is somewhat similar to Harry Potter, but I want to read this. I don't know when I'm going to read this, but the goal is to finish at least one in 2023. Or pag nag-enjoy ko, tapusin ko sila ng sabay or nang magkasunod. Hindi ko pa alam. Pero feeling ko mas uunahin ko tong Monday Starts on Saturday kasi ito talaga yung gusto kong bilhin. I just bought the other one kasi I just really liked the title of the book. So, yun, that's it for this random video. Sorry for the noise and sorry for the randomness of this video, but I hope you liked it, and let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, or if you're planning to read books from the same author. Just comment down below. I might, check those books out, or I might try reading those books as well. So that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.